Welcome to night number 126 of History Bedtime Stories in our pajamas in bed, and tonight's episode is brought to you by Buddy's Pizza. Last night we started talking about the history of Michigan Avenue, and where we left off is in 1833 the road was mostly built. It had cost the equivalent about $2.5 million by 2020 standards to build, and it now connected the cities of Detroit and the city of Chicago. At the same time that all this is happening, the Erie Canal is really bringing in a ton of people to the Michigan territory, soon to be the Michigan state. And as all of these people are coming in, the newly built Chicago Road, Michigan Avenue, is allowing them easier transport out farther west to Chicago and beyond. As Chicago starts growing as a city, and as Detroit really starts leaning on this Michigan Avenue, we start seeing travelers need lodging, food, horses, medical care, provisions, and taverns. Now, taverns of the 1800s are one of my favorite topics because they're not just bars. They're not simply a saloon, a place to get a drink. They are really the epicenter of a neighborhood or town. Because in a tavern, you might be able to resupply. You could certainly get a meal. You could often spend the night boarding at the tavern. They were sort of the quintessential convenience store of the 1800s. Whether it was information or supplies, you would find it at a tavern. And as we talked about last night, this road generates a lot of wealth in the people who own land on either side of it. Because if you're close to this road that thousands of people are traveling, it's a huge way to generate money. And just west of Detroit in the city of Dearborn, modern day city of the Dearborn, at the time it was wilderness, a man named Conyard Tennik purchases and builds Tennik Tavern. Now, Tennik Tavern was really built in 1826, but got to its height in the 1830s and 40s. It's operating as a tavern 9 miles out of the city of Detroit, which is about a one-day ride. So if you're either coming into Detroit or leaving Detroit and you pass this tavern, it's a perfect place to stop and rest for the night. Women could sleep inside with children. Men could sleep in the barns with animals. Your horses could be cared for. You could have food and ale. It was all in all an 1800s rest stop. Now, as Michigan Avenue by the 1840s starts to really fall into disrepair 10 years after being initially built, the fledgling state of Michigan, which just got statehood just 5 years earlier, is like, well, we can't really afford to fix that. Sound familiar in 2020? And the federal government's like, hey, we gave you $87,000 to build that road. We're not spending any more on it. So Michigan makes the decision to turn parts of the road into a toll road. One such turnpike was really Tennik's. And by privately maintaining that road, they could then charge a toll to earn back the money they had spent in purchasing, leasing, or maintaining it. One of the most popular ways to maintain the roads was with wooden planks. Think of it like a modern day dock. Wooden planks across the road. Problem is, wood just doesn't last. It was constant maintenance, constant repair, and as the planks literally rotted out, the road would sometimes be left worse than it was before the wood planks were installed. This system lasts all the way into the late 1800s. Toll roads individually maintained and paid for by tolls collected by travelers. In 1926, the last of the toll roads goes away with the United States numbered highway system. And this is where Michigan Avenue really gets its first big change in nearly 100 years. Sure, parts of it had been paved. Sure, big swaths of it had been graveled. But suddenly this street, which was known as everything from the Chicago Road to Michigan Avenue to all the way back in Native American times, 6,000 years before Europeans set foot in what would become Detroit, the Great Sooke Trail. It becomes US 12, parts of it become US 112, and of course I-94 enters and exits what was only Michigan Avenue and gives people a whole new access through expressways to get between Detroit and Chicago. Later, Michigan Avenue is given the status of a historic heritage route, and the Miracle Mile, which is the Chicago portion, 1 mile portion, big fancy shopping district of Michigan Avenue, gets listed as a National Historic Road. Today, Michigan Avenue has never fallen into utter and complete disrepair because it's never fallen into even partial disuse. To this very day, if you want to get on the road in Detroit at Campus Martius, take it all the way from our origin point to shop at the Tiffany store in Chicago, it's there for you. You can do it. If you tell us another one of the spoke roads that come off of Campus Martius Park here in Detroit, there's 5 of them, we will put your name into a raffle and later on this week select 5 winners to get a whole bunch of City of Detroit vinyl stickers. So figure out what those other spoke roads are. We're looking for ones besides Michigan Avenue. Give us a like and a share. Wash your hands, and we'll see you tomorrow night.